So we're doing an interview here at McDaniel College in the Hoover Library with Alex Ober. It is June the 16th, Thursday, around 3:10, and we'll go from there. So, tell us your name.
Alex Ober.
And Alex, how long have you lived in Carroll County?
I've lived in Carroll County after moving here in 1967, but prior to that I was at the college for 4 years. So really, I was introduced to Carroll County in 1959 as a freshman.
And where were you before that?
I grew up in the suburbs of Washington, D.C., Montgomery County.
Excellent.
Suburban culture.
Suburban D.C.?
Yeah. And I, remember distinctly driving here with some friends to visit the campus as a high school senior, driving up Route 97 with directions, and then the road disappeared and it wasn't paved. And we thought we were in somebody's farm. And eventually we did come to Main Street, but that's one of the things that's changed. They have roads now.
And how long have you been working for McDaniel College?
I came back here in 1967 after serving a couple years in the military and working for 2 years in College Park while my wife finished her degree. So I was a grad student for 2 years and got certified to teach physical education, had a contract offered in Baltimore County where I had student taught, but they built a swimming pool and they needed somebody to be the pool director, and they needed somebody who could also coach and do things like that. So they offered me a position. The president, Enzer, offered me an instructor position in 1969. So I took it and never left. Still here.
And what positions did you hold through your tenure here at McDaniel?
Well, I was kind of a multi-purpose coach initially and helped with basketball and lacrosse, but eventually became the head basketball coach and head lacrosse coach and head tennis coach, and over the years started working on my graduate degree so I could move up through the ranks from instructor to assistant professor to associate and then a full professor. Ended up being chairman of the exercise science department and got out of the coaching biz and got more interested in faculty and teaching and that kind of thing.
Cool. And you're currently, when did you retire?
I retired in 2008, and so I've been teaching as an adjunct, one class a semester and one Jan term. So I've kept attached to the school in that way, as well as others, with the supporting various activities on the campus.
Do you enjoy being the adjunct professor, or did you more enjoy working as the full-time in the physical education?
No, I'm very happy doing what I'm doing right now. There's a lot more freedom, and so no meetings and that kind of business. It's a different lifestyle, but it's what I like. But I like being attached to the school. I like having something occupying me and challenging me mentally, academically, and so the sports novel is something that I've become interested in. So if I can continue to work in that way part-time, I would be very happy.
Cool. And we'll come back to the sports novel question a little later. But,
yeah.
So in your 40-some years of living in Carroll County, what's the best part about living in Carroll County?
I think Carroll County is just a very peaceful, friendly community, particularly if you have an association with a college or something like that, where you can make friends over a period of time. It's, I think, a relatively stress-free lifestyle in Carroll County. Heck, I could walk to work, or now my commute is 5 minutes. Now, how much is that worth? A lot, I think, that kind of thing. So, yeah, it's a nice place to live and bring up a family, and having an association with the college is great, and having access to Washington and Baltimore, so you can take advantage of things that are offered in those areas. So we have a lot of friends that we've developed. I think that's the best part, I guess. When I first moved here, you could actually afford to buy a house, which was really kind of nice. Things have changed quite a bit. Now, I know a lot of the younger faculty can't afford to live here,
Right.
which is a shame, because, you know, I could. As I said, I used to walk home for lunch, you know, and walk back, and it was across 140, which now, you know, you wouldn't step on near the place.
Right.
Your life would be in danger. But yeah, so that so-called development has changed the area, the community, a great deal.
Outside of the roads, what else has been a good growing feature in the last 4 years from?
Well,
Okay.
you don't have to go too far to get what you need, and so, you know, there certainly are areas to shop, and, you know, with the mall and those kinds of things. What I really enjoy are the things that go on the campus, and also with Carroll Arts, because I'm interested in music and art and that kind of thing, and so there are those venues as well. I love the Common Ground music program, and I go to most of those activities, because growing up in the 60s, that was the folk music and all that. Well, those are the things I enjoy, and that's perpetuated by Walt Michael and Common Ground.
That's coming up in July this year, right?
They have a summer program, so I've participated in that over the last couple of years. But yeah, those kinds of things make living here very pleasant.
So the opposite side of that coin is what would make living here not so pleasant? Is there anything that's not a great thing about
Maybe
Carroll
you've seen
County?
the bumper sticker that "Courage is being a Democrat in Carroll County." My wife and I are committed Democrats. We are union people, the middle class, and Carroll County is extremely conservative, politically and socially. It's changing. It's coming around, but it was a shock to us when we first moved here, and we attended the event where the county commissioner candidates spoke, and we walked away and we said, well, this guy, he can't even speak. I'm not sure this guy can read, and, you know, they don't have a chance. Well, of course, they were all elected.
Right.
And so it was like, oh, are you kidding me? These are the political leaders. And over time, there's been some improvement in the leadership, but we're hitting another time here where it's very conservative. I mean, unless you're a Republican, you can't run for dog catcher.
Right.
And so that's a little frustrating. But the college is an oasis for us, I think, of a little more open-mindedness and, you know, that kind of thing. So that helps.
That's a good way of looking at it. Do you think the college? Have you seen the college become continually more open-minded, and there always seem to be if you will, a step or two ahead of?
I
the
think
surrounding county?
I think that, again, just because of the population and the fact that our faculty are from, other parts of the country, and they travel, and our students too have changed in that way because they have international experiences and so forth. So they see the world in a bigger way, have a bigger view of things. The county's a bit behind that, and when we talked about my children, I'll tie into that.
Switching gears slightly
Yeah.
to back to the campus here in schooling. Obviously, you were in the phys ed department with the exercise science, and you said you were going to school here. I assume you played a sport here?
The reason I came to Western Maryland College is because as a high school senior, as a football player who weighed 150 pounds, I thought my career was over, and the coach here contacted me, and I'd never heard of the school, and invited me to come visit. And I thought, man, this will be great. And when I interviewed with him, I said, look, I'm 150 pounds. Do you really want me? Could I play here? And he said yes. And so that's why I came to play sports.
What position did you play?
In football, I was a running back, but I also ran track and played basketball. So, I mean, sports has been a very predominant aspect of my life for some reason. I don't know why. It's not parental or anything like that, but it's something that I've always loved. So I could continue to do that. At the same time, education was something that was important because I was the first person in my family to ever go to college. And so I was a biology major. I was going to be a dentist. I figured that's a good paying job. I didn't really think about the fact, do you want to look in people's mouths all day long? Or would you rather coach and teach? And that won out.
Good. If you could ask, so what would be the best part about playing and or coaching here at McDaniel?
Well, I just love being involved in sports in any way, and so being able to continue to participate was great. And the friendships, of course, that I made as an athlete here, my roommates were generally football players, and so I'm still close to many of those people. So it was just a wonderful opportunity that wasn't something that I thought about. It wasn't something that I planned. It just happened. It was an opportunity. I was going to go to the University of Maryland and commute to the school and live at home, and it was a whole new world for me to come up here. The changing your life motto works. It did for me anyway.
Nice. How do you feel the athletics here at McDaniel College has changed in the last 40 years since you were playing, either for the good or the bad?
It has changed, and I think not necessarily for the better, but I think the biggest change is the specialization. When I came here, I could play football in the fall, basketball in the winter, track in the spring. I could do 3 different things, and all of my teammates did the same thing. We played multiple sports. Now you come, if you're a football player, that's it. You're going to be weight training in the off season, and in the spring you'll be involved in some way. And so there's much more, I think, restriction and specialization on the athletes than there was. But other than that, I don't see a whole lot of difference. I mean, it's still not a scholarship situation, and so you have to be a decent student to participate, and that's your priority because you're not here to be a professional athlete or something like that. You play because you love to play.
Do you think the restrictions have caused, have increased the level of competition, I guess? So if a player was specifically just
certainly the players are bigger, faster, that kind of thing. So I think the quality of player is superior. But we didn't even lift weights. I mean, we didn't do those kind of things. The biggest player on my football team was probably 220, 230 pounds, and that was a lineman, and now that's a running back in some schools. So that's changed, and I'm not sure that's for the good, because we were successful. We had winning teams, but we enjoyed it, and we just had fun. And I think it's a lot more. It was a lot more fun than it is now. And as a coach, I think I also saw that over time, because when you're coaching, there's a lot more pressure on you to have a winning team and that kind of thing. So it kind of takes the fun out of it a little bit.
So since you raised your kids in the county, did you feel that your kids play athletics in the county?
Both of them did. I mean, they were both good students. My daughter played tennis and my son ran cross country, but sports was not their predominant interest. But I was referring to that earlier. Both of my kids have escaped. And for the life of me, I don't understand it, because I think this is a great place to live and so forth. But here we are in this rural country. So where does my daughter live? Baltimore City, Charles Village. Where does my son live? Washington, D.C. So both of them have fled rural Carroll County for city life. Now maybe if they'd have grown up in the city, they'd reverse that. But they're both close by, so we're not out of touch and that kind of thing. I think my daughter has Kara's 36 now, has told me that looking back now, she wishes she had gone to Western Maryland, was then Western Maryland College. She attended American U. Oh, I forgot. She played field hockey. She was on the state championship field hockey team, and she did play field hockey at American U, but she only played a couple of years. And she's an artist. She's more interested in that. But looking back now, I think she said, yeah, the smaller college would have been nice, but at the time she wanted to go to a more metropolitan scene. And my son went to Loyola in Baltimore, which is not that far away.
Do you think they would have left? Were they fleeing? Do you feel just because of that kind of 18-year-old? It's time to get out of town,
I don't think it was really cool.
Else?
Yeah, it was. I mean, they were bright young people, and it wasn't really that cool to be in a conservative environment. And even though the college was, I think, a little bit different from the county, I think they were ready to get out of town and spread their wings a little bit.
That's fair. Yeah. That's fair. Let's see. So you had mentioned that you were currently working with a sports novel here on campus. Tell me more about that.
Well, I became interested. I'm a reader, and I have more time to do that. But I wasn't so much interested in sports fiction as maybe biographies and John Feinstein type of documentary books about sports and the history of sports and so forth. But I met, in fact, we had a program, we had a Jan term, and I came across a guy named Michael Oriard, who was a pro football player, who was a professor at Oregon State, who had written a book called Dreaming of Heroes, and it was about sports fiction and sports novels. And so I called him and said, would you come speak to my class? And he said, yeah. He said, I've been looking for an excuse to come to the East, so yeah, I'll come out. And so I got a chance to meet Michael, and I used his book, the textbook, and so that got me started. I mean, that was 30 years ago. And so I started reading these books and finding out a little bit more about them, and became more interested, so that I'm trying to pass. Most of my students haven't read any of these books. Yeah. Now you are familiar with The Natural because of movies. You are familiar with Field of Dreams, which is the film version of Shoeless Joe. Bang the Drum Slowly is another novel we read. That's also been turned into a film, so people know something of those. But most of the novels that people aren't familiar with, and so I can introduce them. John Grisham's written a couple, and we read one of his. Don DeLillo, who's quite an interesting author, has written a book titled End Zone. So it's been fun. If you're interested in sports, which most of these students wouldn't sign up for the class if they weren't, so you have a head start there, and they are interested, and so then you can kind of open some doors and say, hey, try this. What do you think? Or did you even know this existed? And most of them didn't. So it's fun.
Segue into those things. And then tell me more about the C.S. Lewis course that was offered, or still is offered, or was offered.
Yeah, I have continued to teach that too. And I made when we started the Jan term, chemistry professor, Rick Smith, and I decided, because we were going to church together, and we knew about C.S. Lewis, and so we thought that, why don't we try this? And the Jan term was all about teaching out of your field and all that stuff. And so we teamed up, and we both had an interest in C.S. Lewis, who is kind of he's a religious guy, but he's also a professor. There's some intellect to his belief system. And these Narnia stories are so popular, so we thought, okay, well, let's try that. And my idea was, if students sign up for it, I'll teach it. I mean, they didn't pay you much. A lot of people don't get involved in Jan term because it's more trouble than it's worth. But I was thinking, okay, if students want to take the C.S. Lewis class, I'll teach it. And it's been going for 30 years. I mean, you know, C.S. Lewis died at age 64. Well, I've outlived him a good bit already, still teaching this class. But we had a good group. I think I had 22 last Jan term. When Rick and I first offered the class, since it was two of us, it was a combined class, we had like 45 students. It was unbelievable. Wow. And then Rick fell off a ladder painting his house or something and broke his ankle and couldn't continue. We taught together one semester. Then he got injured early on in the second one, and then he never came back. So I've been teaching on my own since. But it's been fun. It's another, literature seems to be something that I'm interested in. I kind of accidentally had an opportunity to do that. But that's why I like the school, because it gives you chances and encourages you to go out of your comfort zone, go and try something different. And a lot of times those are the best things you do. So it's been fun.
Taking a chance on a class like that that's now 30 years into it is, you know,
yeah, the books keep selling. They're making movies now, the books, and so some of the students who, a lot of the students that take the class have read one of the stories. They know Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. They saw the movie or something like that, but they didn't realize they were 7. They don't know anything about C.S. Lewis, so we can expand their knowledge. And I do tell them this. I said, look, I know you don't keep your books. You sell those books, but don't sell these. You keep these, because one day you'll be reading them to your kids and or your grandkids. So these are ones that you can hold on to.
Yeah, they're all classics. I agree with you
there.
I guess really the last thing I want to kind of lead you out on is what advice do you have for people in Carroll County about, you know, staying active and staying healthy well into retirement? Well,
again, you know, since I have taught exercise science, I have a background in understanding the value of exercise. So that's something that's, you know, first I played sports not for health reasons. You know, it was social or you know, all these personal kind of reasons that you get involved in sports. And but now, looking back, you know, there are habits that I've built that are I think helpful as you age. You know, being active. You need to be active socially to be healthy. You need to be active physically. You need to be active intellectually if you want to maintain, you know, your health over a period of time. And so I think those are crucial to living well, aging well. What I'd like to do is not necessarily live a long time. That's not my goal, but I'd like to be, you know, healthy and alert while I am alive. And I think I am working out more now that I'm not working. You know, I can go to the fitness center, and my office was just around the corner. Well, I never went over and worked on those treadmills ever. I was too busy. But now I'm over there a couple times a week and playing tennis when the weather is warm, and my wife and I, you know, walk every day. So I'm trying to be as healthy as I can, and I enjoy it. So I don't feel comfortable not working out. I don't have to convince myself, you know, to go do it. if the opportunity is taken away from me, I start getting a little antsy. So.
It's already part of the lifestyle. It's been kind of built in over all these years.
No, I think you need to practice what you preach. And exercise scientists, for years are saying, this is something it has to be a vital part of your life. You don't have to run marathons, but you need to be physically active. It keeps the body chemistry functions in such a way that if you exercise and get the physiological things going in your body, it really does keep you younger, or as young as you can be. I mean, and that's, I think, all you can ask.
Good.
So,
well, thank you for your time today. I appreciate that.
All right.